Do you think that English is necessary for you to grow? English is necessary for you to climb that corporate ladder? Well, I will let you guys decide that in the comment section below. But first, let me tell you that it is just a mode of communication. It is just a language, and it doesn't depict that how good you are at the communication or how intelligent or wise you are. So, have you ever encountered a situation where two people are into an argument or they are fighting in the regional language, but out of blue, one person starts arguing in English and the other one start to fumble. He is not able to respond properly, and eventually people like us who are observing from the other hand, they think that the person who is speaking in English, he is right, and that's the reason other person is not able to argue. Well, when you live in a country like India, where we glorify speaking English, we always associate English with intelligence, with power, with education, and a lot of other things. But it is not always important to speak in English. When I say effective communication, there is difference between speaking in English, and then there is difference between communication. As we start growing, as we start working, we understand that English is one part of the coin, but other part lies with your tone, verbal communication, your clarity in speech, in thoughts, and how you are able to express yourself. There is difference between communication and English. Communication means conversing with the other person or the group of people, where you are saying something using a mode of language or non-verbally as well, but the other people are able to understand that what you are trying to say, and you are able to comprehend what they want to convey. If that communication is established between both the parties, then we can say that it is an effective communication. But when it comes to English, it is just a language, it is just a mode of communication. Now I am creating this video in front of you guys. There are two options for me. I know 3 languages, but if I am speaking Gujarati, then my target audience will be very niche down. It is just a state. If I'm speaking Hindi, then I am targeting people who are speaking Hindi, only Indian audience. And the third is that if I'm creating these videos in English, then my video can reach out to more people, because there are many people who understand English language. So if I am communicating with you in English language, but you guys are not able to understand it properly, then it is not an effective communication. So you have to understand that whom you are speaking with. So I work with international clients. I work in an IT company where I have to deal with international clients each and every day. I have to speak with people across India. Some are good at Hindi, some are not. So we use English as a common language to communicate. Okay, but for an example, if you are someone who is into construction industry and you have to manage laborers, in that case, do you think that those people know English? Even if you are from good college or you are very well educated, but if you are speaking English, then you won't be able to establish that effective communication, because they won't understand that what you are trying to say. In that case, you have to communicate in any language, preferably Hindi. When it comes to communicating with your clients or your customers, always try to speak in a language in which they are very much comfortable and in which you are able to comfortable speaking with or understanding. But if you are someone who is dealing with international clients on day-to-day basis, or who is running an agency, if you are someone who is speaking to people residing in different states or different countries, then in order to establish the effective communication, you have to speak English and you have to learn and understand that language. The first point is to accept and to be really honest with you. So I have seen so many people around me working with me who knows that English is very important language when you're working in an IT industry, because mainly your clients will be international clients. They know that, but they don't try to learn that language. I totally understand that some are from Gujarati medium, some are from the regional mediums or Hindi medium or whatever it is, but So even if you're in English medium, that doesn't mean that your English will be good. English, any language, whether it is English or Hindi or any other language that you are not very much comfortable with, you can only be fluent with practice. So if you know that you are not good at this language, but you have to learn this in order to thrive, in order to grow in your career, then you should accept that, okay, I am not good at it, but I really want to improve. And you have to create that shift in your mindset. Always remember that ignorance is not always bliss. In some cases, yes, but in most of the cases, acceptance will be a bliss. Second is that you should start watching series and podcast. This is very fun way, this is very entertaining way to learn English. Now let me give you my backstory. So I have studied in English medium all my life. I was not very good at speaking English, but I was very fluent. I was my speech has always been quite clear. So what I had to do is to practice for my fluency, which I started doing when I was in college, and mainly when I started working, because I was speaking with people in English, and this is how I improved my English. This is how I improved my fluency. When I started to take calls with international clients, I struggled a lot because everyone's accent is different. Now if so I am an Indian and I have very North Indian accent because I am North Indian, right? But someone who is from South of India, his accent will be different, and it might take a minute or two for you to understand that. Same way, if someone is sitting in UK or US, they are speaking with you, you will take more time to understand that what they are trying to say, and you can't ask them every now and then that can you please repeat again, can you please repeat again, because that doesn't look good when it comes to taking calls with client, right? So speaking English is one thing, but you have to understand that what they are trying to say, and the only way to learn it is by listening it more and more and more and more. First episode or first 30-40 minutes you won't be able to understand anything. It will be very very difficult, but hang on and trust that after 30 minutes, after one episode, you are going to understand each and everything without even looking at subtitles. And now when I watch these series, I completely switch off those subtitles because that is a distraction for me. I can totally understand that what are they trying to say. So you have to reach to that level, and how you can reach that? By listening it more. I started speaking Hindi from very first day. Why? Because my parents were speaking Hindi. Now if you are, let's say you are in UK, your parents are Britishers, you started speaking English from day one. If you are born to someone in Gujarati family, right, your parents are Gujarati, you will say Gujarati, you will start speaking Gujarati. Why? Because you have listened that. So it is one thing that if a child is deaf by born, he or she won't be able to speak. Why? Because they don't know that how to speak, because their ears are not working. So if you want to speak something, you have to listen, and that is the first step of learning any language. There are just two things that you have to do. One is you have to work on fluency, because at the end of the day fluency does matter. So work on your fluency, and that you can do by practice and practice. And second is that you should know basic grammar. Tenses are very 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 important. Active voice, passive voice, noun, adjectives, article, कब कहाँ n लगाना है, ध लगाना है, right? So these are the things which are very very important. So you have to keep these in mind. Just learn basic grammar and start speaking. That's it. You can learn advanced grammar at later stage. You can learn fancy words or bigger words at later stage. But to communicate, you should know how to speak basic language with easily understandable words. Next is that you have to talk to yourself in English. So if you're an introvert like me, there are chances that you won't go to your friend or your family member to practice. You won't ask them, please speak in English with me because I want to learn, because I'm not like that. And what I used to do is that I used to stand in front of mirror and I used to talk to myself in English. If I have any thoughts, I reply back to them in English. I converse myself with English, and that is the first steps to let your thoughts generate in English. If you're speaking English with yourself, your thoughts will generate in English, and you are eventually speak those words out of your mouth. And lastly, as I said, that don't try to use any fancy words. I have spoken to people who live in Netherlands, Denmark, UK, US, Australia, and those are native speakers, and trust me, no one is using fancy words. I haven't encountered anyone who is speaking something that I'm not able to understand. So if we are discussing the requirements, IT requirements or anything, I never had to Google, because those people are using very, very basic English. So if you want to sound perfect in English, of course, learning new things, learning new words is very helpful for you to make the conversation engaging, but it is not the first step. Your first step should be to speak basic language, to get fluency in that, and then you can switch on to learning some bigger and higher words. And lastly, remember that it is just a language, it is just a skill that can help you to thrive in your career, because at the end of the day, you are speaking English and you are going to speak with people who are speaking English. So it makes sense to learn that language, because eventually you want to work with them and they want to work with you. And if you guys are able to communicate easily, if you guys are able to communicate, if you are able to establish a proper relation with your clients by speaking and communicating, then learning this language becomes very, very necessary. So I really hope that you like my video, and if you like, then please consider liking and subscribing, and you can comment down that why you think that learning English is important and how you are trying to improve yourself. And just practice. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.